Man, where are you at in Canada? Where are you at in Canada?
I'm in Toronto.
Toronto. That's the biggest city in Canada.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
just north of New York.
Very dense, very heavy. But that's why I'm here.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, we got three people in the house. Guess we're doing something.
Amazing.
We're not censored. We got two on Periscope. Welcome on Periscope. All right, let's turn on a little longer, different intro today. Give us some perspective from the vaults of Soulogy One Studios. We'll be right back in a minute, 45 seconds. Todd Medina, Soulogy One Studios. What's going on here? Democracies, aristocracies, oligarchies, monarchies, hierarchies, presidents, and popes. What's the real dope? What's this all about? Faith, hope, doubt? That's all that earth stuff, man. I am a multi-dimensional, high-vibrational, evolutionary being, and I'm tired of hiding it. I am soul. I don't care who or what tried or is trying to deceive us. Call it the devil or another's Messiah, prophet, or God. It's all the same to me. Whoever they are, they can never take our souls, and that's when we came here to learn. From the burn of being wrong, denying who we are, taking orders, lawless laws, a branded existence, but not anymore. I am divinity. Yeah. Alright. The power we hold to mold the future, heavenly nirvana. From the inside, present, eternal. It's time to be a bolder flame. The game isn't the same. We are the spirit science synthesis, the action of conscious thought, alignment, transmuting to a living wisdom. Yeah. No longer dreaming the life, I am living the dream. Oh, boy. It's always interesting watching these old things from the vault. How's it going, everybody? We got Melissa Ford in the house, and it's good to have you back.
Wonderful to be here.
It's interesting times. Obviously, we were just talking before the show, and I was telling Melissa that, well, I didn't tell her totally, but, I'm most resonating with the few people, and I don't mean that as a slight towards anybody, but I'm resonating most with the people, and I could name names, but I don't want to, that are saying, hey, this is the time we came for. Uh, I understand, and you mentioned spiritual bypassing, and I've taken a couple of hits in the last few days on some pretty neutral things that I've said, posted, but you talked about God, what's the word? It just slipped my my 3D mind. Oh, bypassing. You know, uh, I don't know. It's everything in this ascension, in this transition we call ascension. Sooner or later becomes. We think it's a tightrope, and like I wrote a long time ago, the 0 point is miles and miles wide, but we're trying to create the space between the lines, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff being thrown out there, and I'm not knocking anybody because we all signed up for this, but I like what you said before the show, and I like, and I was also referring to those who have said similar things over the last 2 or 3 weeks in regard to holding the space, being the highest frequency you can be, understanding that that is the highest contribution you can make to self, to brother and sister, and to humanity in the universe. So I'm sitting here and I can't recall everything verbatim, but I pick up energy like everybody does. And I picked up a couple of yours. I don't know. I think one was a post, and I think it had a picture of you, but I can't remember. And it was probably in the last week. And I don't know, I don't even know what it said, but the energy of it was, I'm thriving. I'm not looking back. I'm not making excuses. I'm not going to get bogged down in the external. I'm going to keep being Melissa, and I'm going to keep sprouting my wings, and I'm going to fly, fly, fly. And I know that sounds crazy and fairy tale-ish, but to me, I don't see any other way. I don't see anything that's more, for lack of a better word, efficient with our energy and our time and our essence and our energy field than to continue to, to the trajectory of to thine own self be true, which is not a selfless statement. That is a statement in the age of the Trinity that serves all three ends of the triad, which is you, me, and the collective equally. There's no difference between any point of that triangle. So I just want to say thank you, and I also want to say it's been a pleasure watching you and many others transform. It's been inspirational to me, but especially the feminine and a young woman. That's powerful. So yeah, yeah. So thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you so much. I have to say that you've been a massive catalyst for me in overcoming some really deeply rooted traumas surrounding being seen.
Wow.
And just the opportunity to come on here, and I've been on a few times now over the last several years, and every time there's a level of integration and comfortability and sinking in and diving a little bit deeper, exposing a little bit more, and realizing that this really is the time to speak my truth, even if it is not a popular opinion, if other people, especially in the spiritual community, um, perhaps are triggered by that. I feel that all perspectives are entirely valid.
Absolutely.
And I've reached a point in my own journey where embodying the light that I am in every way, shape, and form means being able to go into the darkest spaces and not turn away or turn a blind eye or to pretend like they don't exist,
Yeah.
or to just say like, well, you know, I can manifest it away. There's a lot of people that are still struggling, they're still suffering, they're still trapped in the matrix. They haven't found their power. And so if I can go into those spaces where people need it the most and still, like you said, be thriving in that space,
Yeah.
then I feel that that's the greatest contribution that I can provide, is being who I am and jarring some, like shaking someone to say, how the fuck are you? How? How are you crushing your goals and showing up every day and laughing and making people laugh? And I feel like that's what is needed right now. That's what I feel called to do. That's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I think, and the humor goes a long way. David Icke's coming on tomorrow, and we're very grateful for that. And I decided to watch. I decided to watch his movie that came out sometime last year called Renegade. I had already watched it once, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I don't know. I just decided to watch it, and anytime you watch a movie or anything the second time, there's always other stuff that comes out. But one of the things that really stood out for me was there was an individual, there was a man that they just put on, I guess, somebody that was at one of his shows, or somebody that may have known him personally. And what I loved about it was the guy said, what I love most about this guy, David Icke, is that he laughs. And he laughs first and foremost at himself. And I think that's really, there's a lot of wisdom in laughter and humor, and really, I mean, if we're souls, then, and I hate to say, sound cliche-ish, but what's there to worry about? I mean, if we are eternal souls and we have continuous, infinite incarnations, and like, I mean, I'm so sick of that word, they, this, they, that, but what can be done to us that really would ever extinguish us? Now, on the other side of it, what if we're all full of shit and we are a experiment in a petri dish in some 6-year-old's, bedroom that he got for Christmas, and we're all extinct together. I mean, and then what about the quantum aspect? That what is created is what thoughts we project. However you want to cut it, it just seems to me that whatever one of those paths that you most identify with, that our conscious thought, and then of course words and actions, create whatever's going to happen. Like, even if I wasn't divinity, I damn sure would act. I damn sure am going to act like it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just so much information, so much disinformation being put out there. I mean, what I'm most interested in is not what narrative proves out, because I don't believe any of them 100%. I don't believe that there's 100%. You know, too much light is as bad as too much dark, if you want to put it in the perspective of the human experience. But my interest lies in when the dominant narrative comes out, whatever that may be. How are people going to react?
Mm,
Like, how are they going to respond? Are we going to go to a greater level of compassion? Because, in my opinion, the goddess, God, whatever you want to call it, didn't create any shit. And if anyone's ever been a parent or hasn't, ask yourself, would you extinguish the life force of one of your children no matter what they did? You know, like,
mhm,
this good guy, bad guy thing is just, it's not going to last. It's not based on truth.
mhm,
And I don't know. We kind of got to. Well, we did. We laid down last night, and one of the things that came in had to do, and I'm just going to kind of summarize it, but was that, and I know again it sounds fairy tale-ish, but there's too many people all over the world, many that have come on the show, but that essentially the higher self is embodying the human, and therefore has the opportunity to be in command of every thought, word, and action. And yes, this is a work in process, but it is a viable path. It's a path that has provided evidence in our personal lives. You're a living example, and many other people. I mean, it's like, somebody said the other day, I saw this meme, and they said, it's past time for the talking. It's past time to even walk the talk. It's just time to walk the walk, and that speaks for itself. That's the real contagion too, by the way. Soul is the contagion. It is the virus, or whatever you want to call it, or the antidote. Souls pick up on other souls just like a tuning fork.
mhm. I couldn't agree with you more. That's definitely the same wavelength that I've been riding and showing up every day. I don't know when exactly. Obviously, there's no like distinct time, but it was very recently that I said, okay, it's really time to lay down all of my excuses and just face each and every one of them head on until there wasn't any more resistance. So like you said, we still are human. We don't have the full scope
Mm,
of what's happening, but we have to be able to feel. Like I feel like it is beyond logic and reason. So now
yeah,
I'm deepening my feeling and my connection there, and I'm feeling when I feel resistance. And then well, where is this coming from? And leaning into that and challenging that, because the way that we come into neutrality, like you talked about, is by presenting it with its perfect opposite.
yeah, absolutely.
And then you find that middle ground. So for me, this month, I'm mostly on Instagram, but I have been posting a lot more on Facebook. Again, this was a dark, scary place for me. I feel like Facebook has a lot of regurgitation. Like sharing content and memes and stuff is great, but I don't see a lot of content creators, people coming up with original thoughts, sharing their truth, creating their own memes, even, right? Like,
Yeah,
however, which way you want to share your truth. I don't see a lot of that personally, but my circle on Facebook is very small.
yeah,
So, anybody that wants to add me, feel free. I'm looking to expand my tribe. But this was also where people that I knew in real life are, right? My family and my friends and past coworkers and people that I went to school with and things like that. And I had transformed at such a rapid pace and continued to shed so much that this platform became a dark space because I wasn't seen or heard or received because I was no longer on the same wavelength as a lot of the people here.
Yeah.
So in re-emerging and realizing there was resistance even with this platform, I'm like, okay, well, now I have to just reintroduce myself, because what is the resistance there of
Yeah.
not being seen, not being received, not being accepted for exactly who I am? I'm like, there is the chance that just by being who I am is going to turn on a few lights, right? Or fan somebody else's
Exactly.
light. So I've been posting a lot more for that reason, to face my own resistance of not being perceivably accepted. And then with that, it just feels so liberating, and it's allowing me to, like you said, expand that much more and to be more of myself, because now I'm giving myself full permission
Hmm.
to be it all, to show my fitness journey, to show that I'm working on, this vessel, that I'm sharing my thoughts and emotions and all of it, the totality of it all, and allowing myself to find liberation in all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy too, because, I mean, if we look at, our journeys, so much of what comes in is a paradox. What's up is down and what's right is left. And, there's always, more depth to the rabbit holes. You know what I mean? And so then you look at the whole thing and you look at what's been one of the topics over the last few years, I'll say since 2012, give or take. But, it's really exploded after 2012 for whatever reason, Maya calendar, whatever. And it's been about, people, we've moved away from the externalization, the need to seek externally both love and fear, or be a prisoner to fear, or attached to our version of love. But anyway, so this whole externalization, and from that has come the seed of, the seed of the soul that has been flowering, like you and like many other people around the world. And now you have this, what do you want to call it? This chaos that is rooted, grounded, and being driven around the world. And it's almost like we're taking a step back and stepping back into this herd mentality of one side or another. And we're, in my opinion, maybe momentarily, and I'm sure it's all perfect design, momentarily forgetting about our own self-empowerment, our own journeys, where we follow this guidance and do these crazy things like you've done, leaving the regular job and just all these different things. But my point is that we think it's these big things on the outside, but it's actually the individual that's driving this oneness. And it's not by instruction, and it's not by, these conventional methods. It's just by the illumination of a person. And it's true. It really is. And I believe it's going to get back on track. And I believe that, this chaos that's happening is really the prerequisite to new creations. It really is, because in my opinion, in my experience, everything is taken away from you. It
Mm-hmm.
happened to me for 2 years on the streets when I first woke up. I watched it happen with many people. Every belief system, every single thing will be taken away from you if necessary, in order for you to find yourself in this world, to move to a higher level of frequency and shared experience.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, all things that are birthed into light first come out of darkness. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
planting a seed into the ground, having it crack through that shell, rise up through the dirt to reach the light, like birthing a child. There's an infinite number of examples, but I mean, I have had the gift of witnessing people wake up because of the pressure.
yeah,
And so because
exactly.
I'm my authentic self and I'm sharing my truth, and no matter how bizarre it might sound, coming out about being a star seed, about my experiences and all of these different things, they couldn't hear me then. But the second that there was the opportunity and it was activated and integrated, then I was the first person that they came to say, it's starting to make sense.
Isn't that something? And a lot of people, a number of people that have come on the show in the last 2 months, 3 months have said that. They've said, wow, I went to see my family and like three of them came and said, hey, did you know about this? And did you know about that? And then of course these practitioners like yourself, that people, they would come on and say, oh my God, I got a call from a lady. She was 80 years old and she had a Kundalini experience. I mean,
Wow.
this is the stuff that I'm talking about. It's like we're in the forest and we forgot the tree, and the tree is you and me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing that occurred before. You had this kind of ascending trajectory, and then all this stuff gets thrown on there. Now, if you look at Franco Di Nicola and other people's intel that receive that type of information of what's going on at this time, not so much what's going to happen by what date. Uh, he talked about at the end of December on the show how, we have these energy waves. There was one on the 29th of December, and I felt that one, and then one on the 3rd, and you can see it in the field. But that we had thrown in kind of another catalyzer around the 6th that would continue for a while, that would further increase the opportunity for expansion, increase the potential in our field of creation. And so, I don't know, it's just like this higher self into the human vessel thing, to me is like to be able to then approach life and live life from that higher perspective, because that is who we are, as opposed to this small little human, regardless of what happens, earthquakes, bombs, family dramas. There's a lot of people transitioning physically from this realm. I mean, we're being put into a space where things have become more extreme. And I love what you said at the beginning of the show, right before the show, and that is to stand tall, fortify your field, and continue to shine. Because what's the alternative? What's the alternative? Really? I mean, to me, it's the same old, same old.
Yeah,
Right? So let's choose us, right?
absolutely agree. That's the reoccurring message, one that I've been getting for myself personally for years, is to get into the body. I have these beautiful oracle decks. I love to see
Yes.
them as a mirror, something tangible, physical, to confirm what I already know. And so many of the messages that would come through is be like, get into your body, spend time in nature, take care of your vessel, detox. And I ignored it for years. I'd be like, let me pull another card, because I didn't want to face what was hard. And what was hard was facing the trauma that resided in my body.
Yeah.
And this whole year, I should say last year, sorry, we're at the start of another year. So all of last year, it was the intention that I had was to make my body my home and to really feel safe here. And I feel like I achieved that. It took me the whole year, and there were definitely bumps along the way, but it finally integrated and clicked. And the second that it did, I feel like I can move mountains because there's no more resistance. I was the resistance. The
That's right.
resistance was in the physical vessel. And now that I have explored all of the deep, dark, caverns within, I can now explore anything outside of me, understanding who I really am, what I'm capable of, and what my truth is, and remaining integrally aligned with that.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I love what you said too about respect. Everyone is relative. I mean, it's meaningful. Every one of us is meaningful. Every one of the thoughts that we have is meaningful. And one of the things that I've personally experienced recently, not too much, but and what I have experienced early on. And Soulogy was given to me 2012. I was on Facebook. Well, I was told go open a Facebook group, right? And I'm like, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do, right? And I'm getting these transmissions, and we all have our own methods of waking up. And sometimes we hear stories of other people, and we think, oh my God, that didn't happen to me. But it's just the way that the universe communicates with us. In my case, there was 6 what you would call biblical prophets. I'd call them ascendeds, that came in, gave me information, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Archangel Michael, and such, right? So I didn't have I had a Facebook for like say a year, but there was just high school friends. So there was like maybe 300 people on there, and I'd say 95% of them were high school friends. which I hadn't seen in years. And so what happened was I came out with this. I mean, I received the downloads, and I was told you need to put this information onto this group. So I did. So anyway, I ended up getting, and I'm not judging anybody, and I'm not saying I was right, but I ended up getting attacked because I grew up in the Bible Belt, and so I would have these conversations with people. I don't do that anymore. I don't like get into a comment war with people, and I don't even answer anything. But anyway, so I'd get into these discussions, and I'm sure that was going on all over the world in different formats, and I would, in other words, they were saying it was a cognitive dissonance kind of thing. They would say, hey, you woke up and Jesus came to you in the trees, and he doesn't visit anybody, and just all this pushback. And so it was very very extreme. It was very, like I said, cognitive dissonance. And what I've learned recently is that it works both ways. Like
Mhm.
now I'm seeing the same type of projection at times from what we call the star seed and light worker community. And it's like, I put up a post the other day and I said, the Great Awakening has nothing to do with politics. Now, 700 people, hit it, and 98% of them, 96% of them were very positive. Not that I care, because I was just told, write this. Now, when you write those little memes, there's a lot more behind the words. It's really the energy. I can't explain in detail what I really meant. And what I meant was, don't go off the reservation, regardless of what's happening. Stay with the mission, which is self-awareness, self-expansion, self-actualization, which is including higher skills and abilities, supernatural, what we call in the human perspective, supernatural abilities. But my point is that the some of the energy that was sent my way was the same type of energy that I got from when I launched Soulogy, 8 years ago. It was like, hey man, you're, the devil, you're blasphemous, you're full of shit, whatever. And I'm like, whoa, but yeah, so, and I guess it's all good because like you said, the chaos has to come first.
Yeah.
For me
It,
too.
mhm. That was a big part of my resistance in speaking my truth. Like, I feel like I am deepening my channeling abilities. Just, well, I should say embodiment of my higher self, and sharing these truths that I feel called to share. And every time that I would, it seemed that there was a shadow aspect that came out to challenge me or tell me why my thought wasn't accurate, or whatever dismissive sort of comment would be thrown my way. And it worked.
Yeah.
And that was only because I didn't fully feel safe and grounded within myself. Otherwise, when those types of comments are made, they just bounce off you like, you
Mm.
know Neo from the Matrix stopping the bullets
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
in its tracks.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when it hurts you, and it's doing that for a reason, because we are all vessels which energy moves through, and depending on our own frequency, vibration, what we're holding, what we're working through. Even conscious people, I think that that's another part of the spiritual bypassing that I was talking about, where we are still susceptible to being out of alignment and having an energy that is less than integrally aligned with our soul move through us, even as conscious people. And it's very naive, I feel, to believe otherwise. And I'm still checking myself all of the time,
Yeah.
right? In saying like, wow, that wasn't aligned. Like, and I could feel that.
Right.
So to me, it's just a few things that have been coming up for me is, what's the rush?
Yeah.
Why am I trying so hard to be perfect or soul all of the time? I'm still learning, I'm still integrating, I'm still
Yeah.
processing, and so is everybody else. But at the same time, these are all opportunities for us to have those mirrors reflect back to us where there is still work that needs to be done,
Yeah.
in order for us to find that heaven within, that safety and security within, where you can remain, like I said, integrally aligned, where the outside world is no longer
Yeah.
impacting the way that you move through it.
Yeah.
So now I find that I'm able to speak my truth with greater ease, even if I know it's going to rub somebody the wrong way that might challenge me, I'm not afraid of people challenging me because this is an opportunity for illumination. I'm not going to allow that to silence me or to quiet me because I have messages that I feel are valid and they might not resonate with one, but they may resonate with 100.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people, because Soulogy is a platform, or it's developed into a platform over the years of people that speak, like, just speak their truth, whatever it may be. And often I've seen people. First of all, I really respect people that do that. I think that's one of the greatest physical actions we can take, is whether it's in with one person in a conversation, or in a post, to just say just tell them how you feel. I mean, warts and all, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I've seen them, and they'll say, "I'm being told to do this. I'm being guided to do this." Well, we all know, and we all know, the people watching this, that we followed this guidance the last few years. We did some crazy shit that was atypical, that was non-conventional. Why would we move away from that now? And they'll say, "I was told to do this, and if I hit one person, if one person gets illuminated, or one person opens their mind, then I've accomplished something." And I really feel that that's a very true statement, because it's such an intention of the heart, the heart of the intention. Uh, yeah, it's a I don't want to say it's a slippery slope. It's just interesting to see. And one of the things you were talking about, triggers, right? And one of the things that you were saying, which I absolutely hold true, and I've learned, and I've really learned this at a deeper level through Morgan, was everything's happening for you. Everything's not happening to you, but for you. What is it? A trigger is, we spent our whole life moving away from the pain and the suffering and the identification of the lowly human being.
Mhm.
Yet now everything's being turned on its head, and all these things, for me, being homeless on the street, being hungry, whatever it was, I see them now. I'm like, oh my God, I am so grateful that happened. Triggers. I'll give you an example about myself. I got some energy thrown my way a few days ago, and somebody that I know and have collaborated with, and I went to their page, and I'm like, man, this is off the reservation here. Like, what is this? It's ego, right? And then I said, wait a minute, this ain't about him. Why is this triggering you? Is your ego out of control? Do you need to? And I had to go sit with myself, and I had to say, okay, what are you saying? What are you putting out there? Why are you putting it out there? Why are you doing what you do? And I had to start looking at all this stuff. And I know I found some things. I can't tell you verbatim what they were, but the whole point is, it ain't about them. It's about me. I am soul. I am God, goddess. I am that. I'm made in the image.
Yeah.
I'm made in the image. So why would I be anything less than that which made me?
Yeah.
This is
Absolutely.
God particle. So even if 12, which is one of the narratives, 12 ET families, star family species came and created the human hybrid soul. That human hybrid soul, that being, is still comprised of the same God particle, which means it has all the qualities. They might be dormant, they might be shut down, but what have we been doing? Aligning our DNA, opening up code, and as that occurs, then we start to come into our own and become that which made us. And what the crazy thing is, and the beautiful thing is we're in a physical reality. So imagine utilizing these supernatural higher skills and abilities in the physical world. What kind of energetic transformation, even if one person starts doing it and then 10 people start doing it, what an amazing influence and impact that'll have on our collective experience. Because you know how it goes. One person starts doing something, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. You know, I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
actually very excited about everything. To be honest with
And so am I. I really am as well. I mean, what some can perceive as really scary because they haven't yet been confronting themselves on a deeper level. Like I said, I was the first one in my circle, and I still am very much so. I definitely have fanned some flames that are coming on screen, but a lot, for the majority, like I've had to find soul tribe outside of my my home base, right,
I got
of
you.
where I was born. But where was I going with that? Oh, it
Doesn't
popped
matter.
up.
It's a 3D memory. It just leaves us. But these are the things that are, and it's not even like
I'm excited. I'm
you
excited.
got it.
That's what, yeah.
Pull
So
that
I'm
screen back in. There you go.
because I'm excited because a lot of people can perceive this, and I see it a lot, especially on Facebook, like I said, with the combative, the polarities, but I see it as them resolving it.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is them doing the work,
yeah,
because and that's the work that I did too, right? Pre-awakening, I was blaming, I was projecting, I was the victim. It was always, why me? I was running, running, running. I moved so many times. I went from relationship to relationship, and I could never find the thing because I was constantly just avoiding myself. So once it clicked, and I said, wait a second, it's not the relationships, it's not the job, it's not my weight, it's not this, it's not that. Trying to find that safety, security, fulfillment within, that's when it really started to hit me, where I was in control.
right,
I was the one in the driver's seat.
right.
And so people, the way that I understand energy, having worked with it, being led by spirit, and it's taught me so much about the healing journey and moving through it, is we have to purge the density somehow. And for somebody to not necessarily be doing that work or have anyone in their circle that can show them the way, they have to, this is them purging.
Yeah.
This is them releasing it. So I'm like, okay, get it out of you. Get it out of you. Like, the
There.
whole world is like going through an ayahuasca ceremony right now.
That's what everybody needs to do, right? Yeah, I remember when I met Morgan, one of the first things she said to me was the that transformation starts with awareness, right? And so, like a lot of things over the last few years, as time goes on and we expand, and I'm just like everybody else, things take on greater and greater meanings, even multifaceted meanings. But one of the things I noticed this year too, just from my own perspective, my own opinion, if you want to call that, is that it's like when you make that declaration, so to speak, energetically, I just became aware that I was an asshole, or I just became aware that that's not true, or that I was cognitively dissonant, or whatever the case is. It's like something's changed in the field, like maybe since the second half of last year, where once that awareness is stated and recognized and declared, the transformation pretty much is done, right?
Yeah.
And if I look at what you're saying as well, and I look at my own journey, I look back now after 9.5 years, and as I'm watching things in the last few months, I thought, whoa, man, I did it really hard, but now I see why I picked that path, because I got a lot of that stuff out of the way. Not that it was easy, because it wasn't. But going back to what you said, I walked the streets for a couple of years. Now I had lost my family, marriage, people dying. I had, I think, 8 or 9 people transition in the first 13 months, close people, family and stuff. There was incarceration. There was, you know, unfairness. Like I was in the system, and I did not, the punishment, if it was even fair in any way, was not equal to what I did, right? So there was all this stuff going on, and like I think I've told you before, I was told, the first thing I was told was, do not make excuses to yourself, do not lie to yourself, and do not blame anything external. Now that, if the first two didn't take everything off the table, the last one did. So now I'm in this space, walking the streets. I got no money, no car, no nothing. And I'm going, and the universe is saying, hey, this is all your gig, bro. So then I had to plant myself in there and go, okay, I'm on 2 years probation. I've got to be in the system. I got to take a P test every month. I got to do this. I got to do that, and work my way out of it with patience. But at the same
Mhm.
time, understand that I'm creating my reality at this point. This is all my responsibility. I didn't create a bad relationship. I did. I mean, someone didn't create the bad relationship. I did. Somebody didn't create these circumstances. I did, and that was very humbling. And I learned from then in this convoluted, complicated journey that we all have. How can I measure my level of expansion? And I've never come up with a perfect way, but one thing I do know is that humility. Like, you can't fake humility. And when you learn something from the universe and it hands you your ass on a platter, right? Like, oh, I believe this and this is the way it's going. Oh, no, no, by the way, here, check this out. You're so smart. I I got to the point where I realized, you know, when I hit my knees and say, "My God, thank you," you know, thank you, thank you for letting me live, thank you for
Yeah.
letting me be here, thank you for kicking my ass.
Yeah.
Like, humility to me is the highest measurement I've found of my own personal progress, because you can't fake it,
Yeah.
and I certainly need more. Don't get me wrong.
We all do. We all do. And that's what I'm noticing and witnessing and observing, and trying to embody more myself. Like I said, I don't claim to know anything. I just my own interpretations of what's happened up until this point, and understanding that we all hold a crucial piece of the puzzle. So the triggers are where the teachers are. I welcome everybody's perspective. Like, there are some people that, will not be in resonance with somebody, and then they're like, oh, well, it sounds like, you need to cut them off or cut
Yeah,
out the toxic. And I'm just like, I actually don't feel the need to do anything, because I think that still, to some degree, creates a level of resistance or attachment. Because if I'm truly in my power, and I'm viewing this from a solar plexus perspective, as if I am a tree, as if I have a strong core, and strong deep roots within myself, I shouldn't be pushed or pulled or swayed in any one direction based on anything outside of me. And those who are not in alignment or resonance with me will naturally begin to vibrate out of my orbit.
yeah,
So by me saying, like, oh, they hurt me and I need to protect myself, or I need to cut that person out, personally, I've reached a point where I don't feel that's necessary at all. I just have
yeah.
to keep honoring myself on all levels, and the people that are in resonance will continue to move closer, and those who are not will just naturally find those in resonance with them.
Yeah.
And it's all okay.
Yeah, that's one of those fine lines. Like, like, I choose not to have this energy in my sandbox.
Mhm.
But if I block or unfriend or whatever the method is, and I have that charge, you
Mhm.
know, that's an indicator to me. And I've spent months and months. I haven't had to do it so much lately, but I
Mhm.
spent almost 2 years every day going to people's pages and pulling them up and looking at them in the face and going, are we equal? Is that me? And I would make as much progress. And some people, I go back to their page for 6 months until I
Yeah.
got to the point where I could see the divinity that they are, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think that goes back to not being afraid to look at anything and to see myself in that, to see the ways that I still can operate out of my ego. And clearly there is something needing resolve. If any time we're confronted with something that we don't like, this is always an opportunity in my eyes to see myself clearer and to see them clearer and to make peace with that then
Yeah,
and there. And before, I would hold on to things and it would be really challenging for me. That's why I moved away from Facebook for so long.
yeah,
It's because I wasn't liking what I was seeing. And now that I'm back, I'm like, meh, if people don't vibe with me, they don't vibe with me, and
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. And it's one of the things I've always admired about people my whole life. And obviously, everybody has certain strengths and attributes and weaknesses. We all do. But one of the things I always liked about certain people was the ones that, no matter what happened, it always marveled. I was always marveled about it. In fact, Morgan's like that, and a couple of close friends from my past, where no matter the situation, they pretty much, you could walk into a fire or walk into a supermarket and they're pretty much going to be the same way.
Right.
That's to me what you're talking about. And some people, some things we have naturally. It's like, again, some people, have just a natural, strength, and we have weaknesses that we come to work on and all that. Melissa's name on Facebook is Melissa Ford, by the way. Somebody just asked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would love to make new friends.
Yes, she needs to make new friends. She is a star seed. Yeah. This is
Pleiadian
I put up, yeah, I put up one of those memes today as I was getting ready for you, so you were in my field, because I always connect with higher self to higher self before shows, my own way. And so you're part of this. And again, you can't say everything in a meme, like those little memes, because there's not enough room, right? But and the reason I'm bringing this up is what you just said. So I said, I trust no one or thing privy to the secrets withheld, which is secret space program, UFOs, ETs, deep underground military bases, JFK, 9/11, that hasn't gone public. I trust you and me, universal soul. Now, I'm not saying this to give myself an accolade. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, we must be getting close to a point, and I'm not pointing at anyone in particular, but why in the hell hasn't somebody that has an audience of at least a regional level, country, a big organization, or leader of a country or whatever, why hasn't somebody come out and said, hey, I'm a soul. I'm not afraid to die. You know, I know what I am and who I am, what I'm a part of. And here's what I know. Now I know whistleblowers have done it and so on and so on, but I'm talking about I am soul. I am a star seed. I have been privy to this information. This has got to happen.
Yeah.
This story, this reality. There's people all over the world that are communicating with galactic, angelic, elemental, that are having visitations. I mean, I've been having these tall blue beings in the last 30 days. I've talked to other people like, hey, have you seen any blue beings lately? And they're like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, what is this?
More and more contact is being had for
Yeah,
sure.
you know,
100% agree.
and talking about it, is to me, I don't know. Like I said, coming into awareness, because to me, one of the basic tenets is I am open minded. Like, really? How open minded are you? Like, do you know on the dark side this could be true? Do you know on the light side this is possible? I mean, like, if you're going to be open to the light, you got to be open to the other side too. Like, in terms of what's out there, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the time has come that, we put on the center stage of the world in every single way we can who we are, the I am soul, whatever you want to call it, Soulogy, Holy Spirit, whatever. We are multidimensional, evolutionary badasses. Right?
I couldn't agree more. I think, speaking to what you just said, I've thought the exact same thing and saying you have the most influence. But I suppose from that vantage point, there's also more to lose. And I wouldn't doubt that there's a level of feeling, again, building that safety and security within yourself to finally accept yourself fully and wholly. I've had a couple conversations with people with larger followings, and some people that I've talked to have said that they didn't feel called to expose it because they feel that the ways that they're meant to help is in grounded, practical, accessible ways, like through psychotherapy or
Yeah,
therapy or something like that,
yeah,
something that is palatable for people. But I don't have a doubt in my mind that there's going to be disclosure. There will be more and more people remembering past lives, having these connections. I mean, the first time that I saw the Arcturians, I was not searching for that. I did not have the word
yeah.
Arcturian was not in my mouth. I did not know what a starseed was. And so for me to have that experience, I was like, what the fuck was
Right.
that? And so I feel like more and more people are going to be having those experiences
Yeah.
that are just straight up, what we call asleep, or I call muggles.
Muggles.
And and they're gonna have their eyes open. They'll be like, oh my God. And this is why I feel so, so, so called to be fully anchored, fully embodied here on earth. I've had a personal challenge with myself where, again, I'm facing my own shit, where I'm like,
Yeah.
what have I been resisting? I've been resisting exercise. I've been resisting eating well, getting enough water, walking, like meditating, even meditating, I still have resistance to at times because I love the mental plane. I love dissecting information and processing and analyzing. It can be hard to sink into the body. But with this personal challenge where I'm exercising every single day, I actually become a clearer channel
Yes.
because
Yes.
my roots are growing deeper and deeper and deeper in order for me to gain more clarity on all other levels of my being. And so I'm feeling if I could relay anything that has helped me, and hopefully if it resonates with you, take it, anyone that might be watching, is to put more emphasis into the body. We are supposed to be fully rooted and grounded because I do feel like that things are going to accelerate and continue to accelerate, and we're seeing crumbling in certain areas, but that's only so we can move in to be those pillars of light for people to see us very clearly, to know where to find us.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that will watch this that want to share their truth. They want to expose that they are too a starseed, or they've had experiences with Jesus or whoever, and that someone will find resonance in that message. So I have struggled with that deeply. And like I said, the more that I challenge myself to show up, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, it's not bypassing the emotions. I'm honoring them on the deepest levels, and I'm showing up anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot to be said for that. What you said, the first part too. People that may know things, that don't divulge it. There's one school of thought. Why would Actually, Morgan said this to me many times back in the day. I'd be like, "Why didn't you tell me?" You know, well, why would I take that away from you? Like, and I kind of struggled with it at first. I thought, well, why couldn't I just shortcut this? Why couldn't you just tell me what you knew or what you downloaded 20 years ago? And she's like, what? I mean, we spend so much time in judgment of ourselves. We
Mhm,
have.
mhm,
What does that tell you on the other end of it? When we achieve something on our own, it's like that exercise you're talking about with the body, the energy body. It's like, whoa, like the endorphins, the etheric endorphins go off and dopamine goes off, and you really start to feel good about yourself. But yeah, I think that's a valid that's a valid stance, and then to focus on your specialty, whatever that may be, because that's another thing too. Here we go again with the paradox. How many people, like, if I'm Melissa Ford, I'm an energy practitioner, which you are, by the way, and and I work with one person, as opposed to, say, Todd, who does a show every day, 3 times a day, and there's X number of people that are privy to that energetic field that he's a part of. Who's to say that the one person that you connect with that day, or the 3 people or whatever, aren't going to have a bigger impact? It's not even about that. You know what I mean? It's about doing what you're aligned to do. And God, it just seems so strange because we've had these multiple templates of plug in here, push this button, turn this dial, out pops your food, out pops your pill, out pops this, your whatever. And yet it's so crazy because it just feels like what's coming in is, hey, you know what? All you got to do is be yourself.
that's
And like,
it.
whoa, there's no book there, right? Where's the sacred text that says that, clearly? I mean, it's like, just be yourself.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Well, Jesus said, know thyself,
yeah, that's right.
know
That's right.
thyself. Yeah, and that's what it is we're so, that's what I feel so blessed to do is, and to focus all of my energy and attention here now to see the multidimensional aspect to anybody that comes to see me. And all that I'm doing is reflecting that back, right? That's what I feel is I help to remove the resistance, show them where the resistance is, and encourage them and support them on their journey to leaning into that in order to transmute it. So that way they can
Yeah.
expand and get deeper into their own calling. And, you know, I've had people say, you know, I'm opening up to spirituality, but I don't think I'm going to be like you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's cool. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be like you. And so if you feel called to write children's books or, you know, align with that on the deepest levels, because that's where your gift is. This is my gift is to be able to see people very clearly and to mirror a clear image of themselves back so they can grab hold of that and step into it should they choose to. But at the end of the
Spoken
day,
like spoken like a true contemporary, lack of a better word, healer. I mean, that's really true. I mean, I remember Morgan wrote a post about Jesus a few years ago. That's comes up every year, and I'll repost it. That Jesus didn't create the miracles; he witnessed them. I'm like, what? And it was the same thing you said, though. Like
yeah.
he stood in place and saw divinity.
Mhm.
He saw the perfection. So that mirror reflected back to that person in terms of their belief system, in terms of whatever, and their alignment with it or resonance with it, and miracles occur. Now I don't know that I'm explaining this as a metaphor, but yeah, I think that's to me what speaking truth, not to be confused with polarized, projected, you know, uh, expressions, which I've been just as guilty as anybody else. But I mean, to speak truth as in, I don't know why, you ever get that one? I don't know why I'm doing this, but I got to do it. Like, I don't know why I'm saying, I did one this morning, the one I just read you. I don't, I'm looking at it for like 10 minutes and I keep hearing, that voice. It's not really like a voice. It's like a really loud thought or a
Mm-hmm.
different thought. And it said, push the button, push the button.
Yeah.
It's not the words, it's the energy behind it. This is another thing that I kind of have found for myself to make the distinction is when I see something and I look at it, whether once I get triggered, if I get triggered, or if I don't. If I go, oh wow, that's really cool. She's smart or he's smart and I'm smart too because I align with them. I go to myself, does this make you think? Does it broaden? Does it open more in you? Does it
Mm-hmm.
make you more open? Like, it's not about that's why I love the trigger, because the trigger says, how open are you? How do you know it's them? How do you know? You know, and then the other thing that you said too that I find um, important. Look, if I have an exchange and we all have our patterns and behaviors, which collectively we're all part of, and we have normal exchanges, we have normal reactions. Well, those reactions have produced the same results. So what if I'm about to meet you and I say, okay, even if I've never done it before, let me go into that space and then let me just pull up Melissa and see what I see. Like, oh, that's bullshit. That's just fantasy. But how do you know? And the thing is, you tried the other stuff and you can always go back to it. But what
Exactly.
if? And I'll give you an example. In my travels, and I'll keep it as inexplicit as possible. In my travels, I have met a lot of people. And there was one person I met who's very, very big in this community. Now, on the surface level, the human level, it was mass chaos. It was projection. It was drama. It was like, holy fucking shit. But I went up many times before, during, and after, and all I could see was the higher selves going, hey, we got this. Look at the end result. Look what came out of it. Did it hurt the human? Good for the soul, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, it's a reminder to me to try a different perspective. If I'm using the same old patterns, even if I picked up that pattern 2 months ago and it
Mm-hmm.
started working for me and I started aligning and I started clearing and things started to fall into place.
at some point, the level of truth due to my own awareness and the conscious awareness of the collective is going to supersede that truth, and it's going to go to a higher truth. So openness is, to me, is one of the main things, being open to everything, anything, which
It
is to
could
me non-attachment.
That's exactly it. Is that's where we stretch ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And this is why I've kind of made peace as well in being like, if I am not to, I think that for my whole life, I was really like, oh, I hope this is my last incarnation. Like, I don't want
Right. We've all done that one.
and only recently have I really sat with that and said, I'll come back as many freaking times as I need to because there is no real quote unquote end. It's just fulfilling what my soul needs to do to expand myself along my journey. And if that's going to take what it's going to take, and it's only my egoic mind that feels like it has a deadline or there's any need to rush, like there's so much beauty to explore here while we're here. We can't get so consumed by mission that we forget that we are to enjoy this experience as well, and that includes the ego. I mean, like you said, soul is perfection. Like we don't get this individual persona, this personalized avatar and character that we get to dress up and play however which way we want. There's real true beauty in my perspective in ego. So I'm not claiming to be perfect or woke or ascended or to think that this is going to be my last lifetime here or anything like that. It's like enjoying the journey and doing my best to learn from everything, even if I'm triggered, even if I'm operating out of ego, even if there's confrontation, like there's always something to learn in every single aspect.
True. That's very true. Yeah, I'm like, I've, wanted to, well, I'll just keep it short. So, like, we were talking to a friend the other day. We were talking about people, the increased frequency of people physically transitioning, because it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Every time I get on the thing, and I've had, several, I can give you several examples, but I said, I plan on being here for 1,500 years. I really do. And I said, how you say things, and then you're like, why did I say that? And then I started thinking about it last night when I lay down, and it just kind of came in like, I want to see the collective transform beyond the perception of physical death, because to me, physical death is the marker, right? Like everything, you remove that, and all the other fear stuff goes away, or all the
Yeah.
other limitations go away. So I've been taking myself through this exercise where when we lay down at night, Morgan will talk sometimes, I very little, and then we'll go quiet and we do our own thing in dimension. And so I'll open my eyes because I'm always looking for the family, see if they'll show up with my physical eyes and not just the third eye. And what I started doing was I could faintly see the walls and the ceiling, and I'll say, they're not here. Like, can I get to that place with my eyes open that I do with my eyes closed? And I look at it the same way. Like all of these things are like walls on the other. These are the veils, and these veils are not, dictated by something outside of me. It's dictated by me. So I go through this exercise. I remove the wall, I remove the ceiling, and then all of a sudden I see stars, which is something that a lot of us experience. And then I'll be like, okay, because the human mind's always there, right? Like, okay, are you full of shit? And then all of a sudden I'll see like a light shoot across the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm outside looking, and there's a ship to go. So it's here. It's like we can take this as far as we want to. The imagination, is such a vital, maybe the vital mechanism in these series of physical incarnations on the earth. I mean, because we literally can create anything. You know.
I couldn't
Wow.
agree more.
So, have you a couple of quick questions? We're running over a little bit. Is that okay?
That's absolutely
All right.
fine, yes.
Have you had in the last 30? There really obviously has been a big so many changes. We've had so many changes, especially as time goes on. They happen faster and faster. But 12-12, there was a period of 12-12 through 12-21 or 21-12, depending on how you say that in the world. But and then, of course, since then, have you had any type of change or increase in terms of your sensitivities to the galactic type of consciousness, to include possibly visuals? For me, it's been blue beans, some gold beans, but mostly blue beans.
Yeah, they're showing up as light, like small little orbs that I can see now with my physical eyes. So before I would only meet them on the astral, and I'd ask them at nighttime to do healing on me. I could definitely feel them. And then sometimes I would get the messages that I could hear. I would see them very rarely, but now they're showing up for me physically since that marker.
Yeah.
As like rainbow orbs. It's like a very small orb, and they move very slowly, like for me to be able to see them, which is
Wow.
pretty awesome. So there's that, and yeah, just feeling like whenever I want guidance, it's there. Like
Yeah.
it's coming through a lot clearer, more easily, especially through channeling.
Wow. Yeah, that's another thing that I remember from watching David Icke's movie last night, Renegade. At one point, he was explaining to, I believe it was Alice Walker, the lady that wrote Color Purple, very distinguished writer from America, and feminist, and I say that with all respect. But he said, and I'll just put it in my words, he said, it's kind of crazy, but since the beginning, since he had the download at Machu Picchu or however all that stuff went down for him, he said, I've always felt that I wasn't alone. Like in our terms, like I had a team with me.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that way since I woke up, reawoke. And when I met Morgan, I could even see a convergence of two teams becoming one. But that consciousness, whatever that is, has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So going back to what you just said, energetically, it feels very much like what I've been receiving, which has been, we're here, we're always here, we're excited, we're happy, we're proud. We don't know how far you guys can take it, and we can be more visible because you guys are more expanded. It's all about fears and what you desire, and so it's like, okay,
Yeah. Thank you for
yeah,
mentioning that, because anytime that I open up through channeling, it is like a wave of love, support, just so much gratitude that I'm like I said, a lot of my life path, my astrology chart, all of these things, I'm very much in the mental plane. So for me to get to an emotional state by myself is a process, let alone with other people.
yeah,
And the second that I tune into channel, immediate tears streaming from my face,
really,
immediate, like just overcome with so much love. I get this like wave of full body tingles, and my body will start to vibrate, just streaming tears. And the message is just pure love and gratitude and celebration for everything that we're doing here, and just giving us that love, support, reassurance that we are already doing so much to eliminate the noise of feeling the pressure to do more, because
yeah,
we're already doing enough.
yeah. That's one I have to keep myself in check on. Is like, God, because these self judgment things, they run so deep, But God, you were just saying something too. Oh, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Have you ever channeled like publicly?
I just did recently for the first time, just the other day.
Like in a session or what?
So I've set up a personal challenge to work out every day and to do live streams on Instagram every day.
Oh, you channeled on Instagram.
On Instagram, yeah.
Would you channel here? Are you comfortable with channeling here?
Oh,
Maybe pull a couple of cards and channel. I don't know. I don't know. I've got so much. Yeah. Okay.
I would love to do that. Let me start there. Yes, that will help to soften my.
I just know the power of the spontaneous, and I'm going to feed it as much as I can, but I'm not trying to pressure.
You're absolutely right, and I do feel it in my heart. I feel very expanded and safe in this space. I'm so grateful for you and your capacity to hold space for everybody. I witness a lot of people on here in a lot of different phases of their journey, and you are open to it all, which is so, so beautiful and powerful. Okay, so I can't make this stuff up. Channel your knowledge.
Did you just pull that card?
That fell right out. Channel your knowledge, critical judgment. All right. What I'm feeling with this message that obviously wanted to be shared and I felt was already coming through even prior to it falling out of the deck was just I see the reflection of me in you, in your ability to acknowledge the judgment. And with our acknowledgement of that judgment, it subsides then and there. All that it wants is our acknowledgement and to understand that it is safe and that it is okay. And through that place of non-resistance, it evaporates, creating space for the higher self to move through and for the wisdom of your soul to emerge. Do not be afraid of expressing your authentic truth in the here and now, for it carries through a vibrational energy and essence that is felt by all who feel called to witness.
Wow.
That's what came to me.
I thought I was going to I get a lot of internal, I guess you would call it, whenever energy's moving, you get a lot of kind of gaseous type of,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to have a big one come out. Right when you started doing it, I could feel this energy below my solar coming up. I thought, oh my God, I don't want to have a big burp on the show. Yeah, that's something too. God, this is getting really deep. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I did a show. Yeah, I did with Kalina Malnar and William Melchizedek. I can never pronounce these names. And so they do light language and toning type stuff. And I don't really do that stuff, but toward the end of the show, I just knew I had to, right? And I said, hey, let's do a triad expression and I'll start it off, and I did it as fast as I could so I could get past the fear and try to hang on to that stream of spontaneity and guidance. But I really feel like, and I don't think this is just isolated to me or people like me, whatever that may mean. I really feel like that more and more of that stuff is going to come out. And, I really do. And if you look at light language, even like the last couple of years, the awareness of it, acceptance of it, allowance of it, it's really, really expanded as an example, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we've done the last two shows we've done, right? This one, I remember the last one, you pulled 3 cards, I think it was before the show, and they were like spot on. Like, I've not always been that big on cards, but it's been because of my closed-mindedness, And so here we are energetically, we just flowed with it. And then you pull that card up, like you can't make this shift up. You just can't do it. And these little coincidences, these little things that don't make any sense as they stand alone, they all line up together. And this is the frequency I'm talking about. And I don't know how else to put it out there. I know it's not through instruction. I know that, and that's not taking anything away from anybody that's into instructing people, teaching people. I think it simply has to do with expressions. Yesterday, we did 2 really powerful shows, right? And I do this, what I call New Earth Remix, where I take, I've got one of you, I take these video clips from people, like when they do a spirit walk, or whatever the case is. And I'm just doing it spontaneously and guided, like, somehow I can't really, how that stuff goes. But what happened yesterday, because those shows don't have the same type of dynamics as, say, this type of show. This type of show, I can look at it because I've done so many, and I can look at it and go, okay, well, this many people tuned in, this many people engaged, and you can kind of see if there's substance, in that energetic expression. Well,
Yeah.
the remix is like 3 minutes of this and 4 minutes of that. So somebody might not like Romeo Barron light language rap, and then you have someone playing a flute, and then you have someone doing the spirit. So there's a lot of changes. So it doesn't have the type of traction. But the funny thing was yesterday that remix outdid the two really badass shows. And I'm only saying this for kind of like a marker or an indicator of what's potentially happening, and that is that these, for the most part, non-verbal, and if they are verbal, like a spirit walk, it's really the energy behind it. But these non-verbal, energetic expressions are taking a hold, and they're doing their job, I think. So yeah, everybody, get a camera, turn on the video, tell us how you make your enchiladas, or tell
Yeah.
us how you feel, or tell us
Yes.
whatever you want. And I really, the truth is the truth, and that's all there is to it. And it's full of code.
Absolutely. And it's like, it seems like you've been doing this for such a long time, which is a really massive source of inspiration for me. And in saying, I think that I feel called to do what you do. I feel called to connect with people and to highlight them and to give them a stage to speak their truth and to share their wisdom and their journey, and, to practice being seen and all of the rest. And I just knew that that wasn't something I was going to be able to fulfill, even though I felt called to, if I just didn't move past my own resistance. And so we have to start looking at those things as a form of play,
Yeah.
as a form of play and practice. Because then if you're like, oh, this is just practice, this eliminates all of the weight and the pressure to make it perfect or to make it fit into the box that your ego thinks it needs to. And so that would be my number one. But I totally agree with you that if you have something that you want to share, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a sewing tutorial, like you said, make enchiladas. If you have a green thumb, show off your plant collection, like
That's it.
whatever. Reading cards, like it could literally be anything. But if it's true to you and you love it, you feel called to surround yourself with that, to immerse yourself, to learn everything there is to know, somebody else will feel inspired by that.
One other thing, do you how do you explain some of this stuff? Okay, so like, if I look back at 6 months or 12 months or a year and a half, 2 years ago, I still had, I didn't have the type of mind chatter that I had, say, 5 years before, but I had it. And like, some of the stuff that's been coming in the last few weeks has been like, you don't do that anymore. Like, I'll have a thought about, say, an old pattern or behavior or whatever, and I'll go, hey, why am I not doing this anymore? Why don't I go there anymore? And it's like, I keep hearing like, you don't do that anymore. And with that, there's there's, I don't want to say it's like a constant meditative state, because there are things that pop in and run through, but it's very different. It's almost like background music, as opposed to being at, 3 rows back at an AC/DC concert in front of the speaker. You know what I mean? It's like in the background there's this thing playing, and but it's kind of like, diminishing. I don't know. Does that make sense to you? Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. My journey started in a very mentally turbulent state and trying to find, peace of mind, literally struggling with suicidal thoughts and just major depression and anxiety. The chatter just was so persistent. And it wasn't until I found cognitive behavioral therapy that I began to observe the mind, and that led to mindfulness, which led to meditation and things like that. I have compared it now to a constant state of meditation, because the more anchored and rooted we are into the present moment, the easier it is to witness whatever it is that's arising, whether that's a message or a thought or
Yeah.
the resistance. And there just isn't so much distraction, because I feel like we've been doing the work to uproot what isn't real, to uproot the illusion. And so now whatever is in the mind floating around, it's just visible. So to me, I feel like there's a fluidity between the subconscious and the conscious mind, and it's a
Yeah.
natural and intuitive thing to equalize it, and to to equalize. That's the best word I could
That's
find.
good stuff. I'm gonna have to go cut that part out and put it on the remix. That was a very good. And you're right. And thank you for that explanation, because it is. You're right. I was not right. It is a constant meditation. And I think about like those first 2 years on the street. I would often say I was in a constant communion, but that's different. When you said that, I just go, oh, wait a minute, because the constant communion was a conversation, right? Like, hey, this didn't happen to you; it happened for you. You're not on the street because somebody effed you. You're on the street because you created this, right? But that's a conversation. What you're talking about is true. What I was trying to say, do you relate? My third eye blew up last night. It's because it's all red. I just saw it. But yeah, because you're right. It is like like a standard Zen meditation. Like you're 5 feet from a wall. You stare at a spot. A thought comes in. You allow it. Boom, it's out. And you're right. It's more like that. You use the word fluidity or flow, and yeah, I think it's more like that. It's interesting though. Um, these this transformation that does fully involve the body, the mind, the brain, everything. Uh, it it's not so subtle anymore. Like, it's come online, and it's like, even though it's not like going zoom like a spike, it's got a gradual, deliberate, steady, and it's just getting a little louder and a little louder. And at the same time, you've got the distortion doing the same thing, although it's kind of like spiking more, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting times. Now, you are a little more active now on Facebook. I know a couple of people have made some comments, so we want to make sure that they have the information to access you. You are Melissa Ford on Facebook. It's okay to instant message.
Absolutely, yeah.
She said she's looking for more friends to expand her Soul Tribe circle. But you're also on Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram? And let us know what type of energy work you're doing, sessions or whatever, if any.
So I am on Instagram. I'm the Inked Shaman, all one word.
The
The Inked Shaman.
the
And I know you've never been able to see, but I'm actually heavily tattooed under here. That's my avatar I've chosen
the,
this lifetime.
the shaman on Instagram, right?
The Inked Shaman on Instagram,
So
yeah.
what are you saying? You're heavily tatted.
All
That,
over.
are you
All over.
really?
Yeah, all over my arms, back, legs. So
Yeah, man. I got a daughter that's probably got, I don't know, last time I talked to her, 15, and probably, I think at one time she had 12 piercings.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's all about the individuality.
And then in terms of energy work, I do Reiki. I would say that it's like a blend of all energy medicines, to be honest with you. It started with Reiki, but it's just continued to expand as spirit and both my galactic heritage and my ancestral heritage have shown me
Hmm.
different methods of energy healing. And yeah, it's very profound. It's very transformative. If you are ready to alchemize some things and see some major shifts within, and that will be reflected outside of you, then I'd be happy to hold space for that
Wow.
transformative experience.
Well, I appreciate you channeling.
Thank you for challenging me to step into that.
Handle you with kid gloves.
Whoops, we're glitching out a little bit.
Yeah, I just gave you a message. It's cool. Yeah, I look forward to doing it again and again, Melissa. I love you very much, and I obviously, we have a kindred connection, and I look at you, it's like, you and a couple others, and like Morgan, you're like little Morgans. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's the same energy. But I appreciate you. I do love you very much, and let me know if there's anything I can do to support you. And until the next time,
Thank you so much, Todd. I love you.
all blessings to you and yours and everybody else. We'll be back